Welcome to SFL This Week, Season 22, Week 5 edition, alongside Tyler Falk. I'm Cameron Irvine. Tyler filling in for Mike O'Neill tonight. How you doing, Tyler?
I'm doing well, Cam. I mean, I'm set where usually everything's moving around, and the only thing that stays relevant is a certain chair that seems to occupy the same space every single week. I don't know who sits in it, but I mean, I think the chair likes me a lot better, so we'll leave it at that.
Well, we're certainly excited for tonight. It is a unique night here in the SFL as Arizona and Indianapolis begins our Monday night doubleheader, kicking off in about 42 minutes time. But first, of course, we're going to recap the SFL this week. And then after Arizona and Indianapolis, we have a special Jacksonville at Mexico City game in Week 5. Both of those teams are going to be dawning throwbacks going back to Season 5 and 6, the Tallahassee Pride, the Santa Fe Gorillas, as these two franchises, storied franchises, got started. And, of course, back in Season 6 was the drafting of Matt Wilson to the Santa Fe Gorillas, now Mexico City Aztecs. And Matt Wilson, who we remember, passed away a few years ago. But this is an opportunity for us on a Monday the 12th to look back on some of his best moments and some of the legacies that he left behind, including this unbelievable moment in a game that started Season 17. Baltimore was killing Los Angeles 57-10. There was 2 minutes left. Tyler, as you know, those are the worst games to call because you don't know what to talk about. Matt Wilson always seemed to find a way to fill the air in a game that featured a bunch of the same type of plays. It was a broadcaster's worst nightmare unless you had Matt Wilson by your side. Mike Daggs and Matt Wilson on the call. If you haven't heard this before, this is one for the archives.
Travis Warren Jr.
Can Florida Police change their name, by the way, to the Storm, to something else?
Nope. They're going to be the Florida Storm, and you're going to like it, and you're going to call them the Florida Storm, Matt. I know you want to call them Alaska. Just it's your thing.
Can't they be like the tsunami Florida or something, or I don't know.
No, Florida Storm. It's not that hard. It's only hard for you. Nice pass over the middle's hauled in by Davius Reed. Los Angeles will call a timeout as they get the catch up at the 49-yard line.
Yeah. The tornadoes. There's no tornadoes in Florida, but tsunami is another name for a hurricane.
No, it's really not. Those are two very different weather systems, Matt.
Are you sure?
Do you not know what a tsunami is?
I thought it was a hurricane in like Japan.
No, Matt. They don't just give hurricanes fancy names just because it's in Japan. A tsunami is a massive wave.
Oh yeah, that's right. What the heck? A monsoon. There you go. The Florida monsoons. Perfect. Yeah.
My goodness. Oh, Richardson, what are you doing?
I gotta get out the B material, Mike. It's 57-10.
The Florida monsoons. Well, I don't know.
Paul, please hashtag monsoons.
Mighty RX. Max Paul, the owner of the Florida Storm, previously known as the Alaska Storm, which is the bane of Matt's existence. They kept the same logo, they kept the same colors, and to Matt, they kept the same state, even though they moved as far possible as they possibly could. Like, you can't, there's not two states farther away in the country than Alaska and Florida. They've totally flipped corners of the entire, I don't know, Northern Hemisphere. What do you want to call it? I'm done.
You can't call them the Hurricanes because they're the Miami Hurricanes. It doesn't work.
Well, Commissioner Cameron Irvine reminding me that Hawaii's a state. So
yeah.
Well, listen though, but Alaska's big. I'd have to measure that. That'll be post game. We'll have to see. Richardson gets this one down to Tommy Rahman. The one shining light here in the Lycans game so far, Matt, has been the production of Tommy Rahman, the undrafted rookie. He's got about 100 yards receiving. So it's all about turnovers, and like we were talking about pre-game, Matt, the turnovers are really what undid the Lycans last season. They ended 6-6. 37 takeaways. There was a couple teams, but only 2 that had more takeaways than that. Tommy Rahman getting the first down. Yes, he does. Steps out of bounds, gets that first down. And the defense did a great job. Top 10 in takeaways. They had 32 takeaways last season, but combine those 2 numbers, still a -5 turnover differential. You're just not going to win. Not going to win enough ball games with a negative turnover differential. And see, Matt, this is why I say our stats man, Gerald Smith, is so knowledgeable and helpful and keeps these broadcasts alive for us. He says that it's not a monsoon. It's a typhoon.
Yeah, typhoon. Okay, the Florida.
Japanese hurricanes are typhoons, so the Florida typhoons. But, Matt, there's one key problem.
What?
They're not in Japan.
Well, the SFL wants to, we got the London Knights, Mike. How about
now you want them to move to a different country?
The Tokyo Typhoons. Boom. TT, right?
They
Tokyo
can keep
Typhoon.
the logo,
Yes.
but they got to change continents. I see.
But isn't that a great team name? The T and the T, the Tokyo
that is
Typhoons?
the Tokyo Typhoons. That's you better register that as a trademark, Matt.
Yes.
Excellent. The Tokyo Typhoons.
So Cam,
coming to the SFL in season 18, the Tokyo Typhoons.
Perfect. Someone to
Love
take that. I'll give it away for free.
For free?
Yeah.
Wow. You're such a generous man.
Just to get the storm out of here.
Just if another owner takes the Tokyo Typhoons, it doesn't mean that Florida's gone all of a sudden. Are you trying to just abolish them?
I don't know. It's got to be.
Why can't you just accept that they've moved to Florida?
I can't accept that. My brain just won't process it.
Unbelievable. Richardson throwing into triple coverage. That one's incomplete. It's just been a rough outing for the Lycans to get things going in this season, Matt.
You could say konnichiwa, right? When they're bye-bye and...
Is that what that means?
Konnichiwa. Yeah.
Are you sure?
Well,
because you also thought that a tsunami was a hurricane a few minutes ago.
No, I think I'm right. Could be wrong.
You think. Oh, look at that one-handed catch. Tommy Rahman. He went out of bounds for no gain, but... They're down in 10 now coming up. 1 minute, 8 seconds to go here in this ball game.
Arigato from Japan. Right? Hello from Japan.
Did you just Google how to say hello?
No, arigato gozaimasu. Yeah.
I don't even know what's happening. They're asking in the chat what's going on in the broadcast booth. I don't know. I'm not sure. Richardson's throwing the ball. Tommy Rahman's not catching it anymore. One drop for the fullback. I mean, that's impressive. We've seen some passes to the fullback where we've asked for that to be canceled earlier on in the.
That was his second drop, Mike.
Oh, it's a second drop. He's got 18 receptions, Matt. When have you seen a fullback with 18 receptions? Gerald, are you sure that number's accurate? 18 receptions for about 115 yards. That's crazy. I don't even know. Have you even seen a receiver with 18 receptions? Another sack.
Al Walker.
He's just trying to match his sack total from season 16 today.
Luke Skywalker's father was Darth Vader, but
not sure what that has to do with anything.
Sally Richardson's father is Al Walker.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah. There was a number of things that was as broadcasters, Tyler, that we often teach about. Look, when you're in a 47-point blowout, you are supposed to talk about other things. You are supposed to, keep it. Well, all right. I guess it's now time for my broadcast team to join the other game right now. But you are supposed to talk about other things. You are supposed to keep it light. You are supposed to keep it fun. I mean, you saw just in that clip alone, the same play getting called over and over and over. The game was horrible. And Matt Wilson just had a way of saying and doing things that no one else does. I mean, what he brought to the broadcast team was just unbelievable. What are your thoughts on his little call right there?
I mean, Matt just epitomizes what Mike Daggs, Chris Curtis, and myself were all trying to build in this broadcast team. And it just goes to show you that if you have a passion for to be an aspiring broadcaster, maybe even take it as far as Michael Turillo and go pro and start calling college football games, high school football games, games of all sorts, it starts here, and no limitation is too great to overcome. Just Matt was a character. He was a idol. He was a star. One of the brightest stars that the SFL has ever seen, if not will ever see, because of his impact. My best ever just impression of Matt is just how down to earth he was and still is in just everything he does. And it everything that he did, whether it be on the field or off the field, whether or not he's making Mike and the rest of everybody in the broadcast booth and even us here years later just howl and laughter with how he wants to transport Florida. He wants to take Florida from here and put it somewhere else. Just move it to Tokyo. And why hasn't someone come up with the Tokyo Typhoons yet? Why has there been no expansion bid for the Tokyo Typhoons? I'll never know. Whether he's doing that or his player was rolling out of the end zone, saving Mexico City from a safety and gaining nearly 15, 20 yards on a not even a Zion QB run, just him escaping and making plays with his feet as the quarterback. It's why he's not just the GOAT on the field, he is the GOAT analyst of the SFL broadcast team.
That clip reminds me of just how much fun that he had calling these games and the fun that he brought to the broadcast team. And that's what we tell all of our crews: have fun, right? That's what made the Super Bowl last night so special with Tony Romo. He was having fun. At one point, he was singing on the way out of commercial break, and all the producers are probably like, what are you doing, right? He's just having a good time, right? And that's what made Matt Wilson so special. So that and more coming up throughout the night, but it was a good walk down memory lane as a game out of hand with Mike Daggs and Matt Wilson on the call. Gerald Smith in the stats truck. Look, Gerald started as a statistician, and now he's hosting Friday pregame with his best buddy, Mike Daggs, right? So you never know where this league can take you. But let's get into the recap of Week 5 now. We have plenty to talk about, even though it has been an abbreviated week. Florida got to a slow start, but ultimately prevailed over the sinking Fleet, who fall to 0-4. While Florida rolls, D.C. got rolled by Fort Worth. Canton coming up next Monday night. That's huge. They laid an egg in Texas. 99 problems for Queen City. How about 99 speed, 99 agility? Henry McGee's ratings, and he used it all in that kick return touchdown that helped spark Atlanta winning over Queen City, moving the Swarm to 3-2. Type attack, Tyler, doesn't look like a rookie anymore. The Seattle Nemesis are growing up, perhaps, after their showing in San Antonio, and the curse is lifted, Tyler. Carolina finally beats Vancouver for the first time in franchise history. What caught your eye in Week 5?
There was a lot to catch my eye, but I think that Seattle taking down Alamo City, it shows just the different type of team that Seattle is. We'll get into more of that later, but Seattle, to me, were the stars of the weekend.
But first, we've got some highlights to get to, and how couldn't we start in Tulsa, Oklahoma? The Minnesota Legend and the Tulsa Desperados. This one was a game for the ages. Minnesota on their opening drive hits Quagmam inside the 5-yard line, and then 2 plays later, Colin Hart is going to get in the end zone for the score. More from him later. 7-0 Minnesota on top of Tulsa. There's Coach Raven excited over there on the sidelines. Tulsa would strike back. Michael Brown, what an acquisition for this team. Jay Viper gets behind the defense and scores. We are all tied at 7 in the middle of the second quarter. Then a few minutes later, Michael Brown looking down the field to try and get another touchdown on the board, but Cody Griffin picks it off. And huge interception in the red zone, and the Sasquatch takeover at the 3-yard line. Big play here in the third quarter, Tyler. Tulsa down 10-7, but on the punt return from the 11, that is a fumble picked up by Tulsa, and they would take over in their own field position. Can't do that on special teams.
No, absolutely not. It leads to momentum changes and big shifts in ball games. And if it hadn't been for both these two teams' defenses, this game could have easily gotten out of hand and Tulsa would have been able to run away with it. This is a massive credit upcoming here for Minnesota's defense. They kept them in the game the entire night.
So 10-7, Tulsa trying to take the lead after that recovered fumble. Gabriel Manning gets down to the 4-yard line to make it first down and goal. He was a bit quiet on this night. Minnesota's defense did a nice job on him, but Tulsa on this 3rd down and goal trying to take the lead would end up in the backfield because Max Knight gets the sack and forces a field goal from Takeda Yuki. Max Knight, one of the best D linemen in the league now, back-to-back seasons, 10-10. Now Tulsa down 13-10 in the late stages of the 4th quarter. Gets it complete, but only to the 6-yard line. They have to burn their last time out. They didn't have enough time to run another play safely, so they kick a field goal and go to overtime, and that, Tyler, is when we got this beauty. Johnny Reno, Colin Hart, breaks off a tackle and then spins away. Look at the blocking down the field, all the way 3rd level, really. Colin Hart scores, and Minnesota wins the game 19-13 in overtime. What a ball game, and the legend, even though they won the division last season, Tyler, now just 1 win away from as many wins they had all of last season.
And it just goes to show you that every single season's a new story. Minnesota last season started off really hot and then lost 7-8 in a row. And they had to find a turnaround against these very same Tulsa Desperado team on the final day, in which they did. But it just shows you both these teams know what's at stake. Even one game, this one game could be the very difference between taking on Denver and Arizona at the top of that division and really controlling whether or not they have a shot at the division title. And Colin Hart in the last play, let's just talk about Hart for a second. They always cry in Minnesota, all Hart, all Hart. He showed it again. He showed it again. Just, you have to be a for sure tackler to bring him down. Otherwise, he's going to make plays left, right, and center just like that. And that's how Minnesota won the football game. Just individual efforts like Max Knight or Colin Hart was the difference that saw Minnesota through in overtime.
Minnesota improves to 3-1. Tulsa drops to 2-2. Hey, shout out to my sister Cassie, who's watching at home tonight, watching me and nobody else. All right, back to the highlights as we go to San Antonio, Seattle, Alamo City. Ace Fennick, he starts games hot. Yayo Montana with the touchdown makes it 7-0 artillery, but that's the problem. Alamo City gets off to hot starts and then goes cold. Pauly Truth with the first of his 2 touchdowns on this game ties the game up at 7 late in the first quarter. Ace Fennick looking down the field, and his pass is picked off by the former number 1 pick, Bryant James, the first of his 2 interceptions on the night, and the 2-1 nemesis trying to firmly put the Baltimore loss behind him. Look at type attack there, completed 5 straight passes, and now here he goes on a little option route, gets a first down for Seattle to keep the drive alive. Another former number 1 pick putting in work for the nemesis. Now down the field, John Fullerton to the 4, gets a 1st and goal for Seattle. And watch this, type attack on a rollout. Everybody focused on number 11, and nobody's looking at Pauly Truth in the back of the end zone, wide open. Seattle takes a 14-7 lead on the road against the artillery. Now into the 3rd quarter, 6.5 minutes to go. Type attack drops back to throw, and that pass is caught, then a broken tackle. Ryan Arlovsky, the former Arizona Scorpion, is loose. Only 1 man to beat, and he's brought down by Ron Hoff to save the touchdown. But Seattle moving. They score, make it 21-7. Now in the end zone, Ace Fennick trying to cut this game down to 7, and that pass picked off. That's Bryant James, who's lucky to not get out of the end zone there, but gets his 2nd interception. On the ensuing drive for Seattle, just 3 plays later, Alamo City gets back into this game. Fumble! Jay Mart, 2 forced fumbles, 4 interceptions this season. He is an early candidate for Defensive Player of the Year. He keeps Alamo City alive in this game. They get a field goal off that drive, make it 21-10. Here's another look at the fumble.
And it just shows you, again, Mart, like you said, very solid tackler. He's looking for the football every single time he makes a tackle. That's why he's one of the top linebackers in this league.
4:15 to go in the 4th. There's Brad Jones diving into the end zone, makes it 21-16. The 2-point try was no good. However, Alamo City got a stop against Seattle's offense, so they get the ball back. One last chance down to the 17-yard line of Seattle. That's caught for a first down. Timeout Alamo City. They have none left, which means they got to fire to the end zone. It's fourth down to the 15-yard line. Seattle brings some pressure. One-on-one coverage. Had a chance. That would have been a touchdown. That would have been a game winner, but Seattle wins 21-16. They improved to 3-1. Their only loss on Monday night a few weeks ago against the defending champs, which ironically is Baltimore's only win this season. But Seattle on the road, it's tough to beat a team on the road, especially a team like Alamo City.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's the reason why Seattle won. Here's what makes Seattle different and a team that everyone has to look out for. Well, many seasons ago, I was talking like Las Vegas has this spunk to them. They have this pizzazz that makes them a Las Vegas team. Seattle, they got wild cards. They got QB rollouts, QB options. They can throw everything at you in the kitchen sink. You have to be prepared. Any little wrinkle that you think they can throw at you, not just what they are going to throw at you, because like we saw deep in the red zone, Seattle roll out. Oh, am I going to run or am I going to throw the open guy that you're leaving completely alone because you're so focused on your running quarterback? So wrinkles and wild cards make Seattle a very tough team to beat, even when you're at home hosting them.
They'll throw to anybody. They'll run anybody. They'll blitz anybody. To your point, Tyler, exactly right. Seattle is maybe one of the toughest teams to prepare for. Although Baltimore gave opponents a little bit of film, Seattle's obviously adjusted in back-to-back weeks, and now they are 3-1. All right, to Blowout City this week in our rapid-fire route recap, 27-3. Florida defeats Portland. You see it on the graphic there. Portland 2 yards a carry. It's just not good enough. The running game is running in quicksand right now, Tyler. In Florida, the defending champs at home, they took care of business.
And you're playing against the defending champs. It's going to be a tough game no matter what. But when you have a 20-point spread and you can't even get within a 20-point spread, something is dramatically wrong. You said running in quicksand, and you on your little report here on the website, they said just not able to really get anything going. They're stuck in port. They're torpedoing themselves in their own port. It's just becoming, unlike the Battle of Midway, it's becoming more of a Pearl Harbor situation because Portland can't get anything done. It's a tough situation. It's the closest thing that can bring to mind, but that's what it feels like. Portland is unable to get anything done. Ezekiel Love with only 20 yards. He is barely outpacing his fullback in terms of rush yards. This Portland team needs to get out of port. They need to throw everything the kitchen sink in the last wrench out of the ship in order to maybe loosen themselves up. Find a different game plan because it's not working. Yeah. It needs to change. It needs to change now.
You just got to try something different. You know, Florida, you don't have to do anything different. Florida, you're awesome. You are playing better than you were playing last season, and you won the championship, right? I mean, I think anybody would say that this Florida team is so much more balanced, so much more impressive this season with what they've been able to do through the first 4 weeks. Portland needs some answers. DC may not need as many answers. They were 3-0 after all coming into this game, but they really struggled in Fort Worth. 8 first downs. Fort Worth converted 12 of 17 third downs, and DC was just never much on the field. You see 18 rushing yards. It's just like regular football, Tyler. If you can't establish any sort of run game, you're going to have a bad time. And first down offense for DC was brutal. What'd you think about this one?
Let's talk about Fort Worth, and then we'll talk about DC and Alamo City as the teams you had mentioned pre-meeting about panic. So Fort Worth did a great job. They mixed everything up. They got Robert Garrett going in the red zone a whole bunch. He got a touchdown, if not 2. The offense was clicking, and the defense read the keys, and this is why DC is going to be a little bit panicky. I give it maybe a 4 out of 5 after losing their first one, especially when they look so one-dimensional on first down and so predictable. Running the same play over and over again, it just didn't look great. I know DC has a great coaching staff. I know they're going to change things around, but everything was literally hung out in full view of Fort Worth, and it almost was looking like DC was in Fort Worth's defensive heads. And so things will change in DC. I give it a 4 out of 5. Hopefully this is not the same type of DC team that, we start losing a couple of games. We have a great start, and all of a sudden we let Baltimore, we're going to let Canton, run away with this division. So I don't see that happening this season. But just like how Minnesota lost a lot of games last season, anything is possible. DC, I don't think it will. Back to Alamo City quickly and that panic meter. Before I took a deeper look at it, I'm like, it's maybe 3 out of 10. They're still keeping pace with everybody. And then I looked again. Then I took a deeper look. I went back in the last 3 games and looked at their red zone scoring or opportunities in the red zone, or even near the red zone. Too many turnovers. Way too many turnovers in the red zone. They're getting there. Just like in every single game, they're starting hot, but they're not finishing. And it to me, the remedy right there is finding an answer for your red zone. So down 3 straight games now, and a potential to be at the bottom of the South Division here at the end of the week, I'm giving it a 7. 7 on the panic meter. I think Alamo City needs to be thinking, we need to start winning some games, otherwise we're going to be on the outside looking in the postseason.
I'll convert your Dragons panic meter score to an 8 out of 10. Alamo City gets a 7 out of 10. I agree for 2 different reasons. DC, I panic about their schedule. Canton's next. You don't want to let morale get down after a hot 3-0 start. Maybe you lose 2 in a row. Now you're 3-2. If I'm Alamo City, Brad Jones is disappearing. He's not the same Brad Jones he was even in week 1. Teams are keying in on that run game, and they're going to have to mix things up with Brad Jones because they're starting to lose that battle on the ground. All right, back to the highlights. Let's go to Queen City now from Friday night's action, where Atlanta is taking on Queen City. And James Matthew Jr., Tyler, I think he's pretty good. I think he's going to be an all-star because he's having an unbelievable season. Just seems uncoverable. Hashtag throw it to the tight end. Queen City's in business. 3rd down and goal, 2 plays later. Going to hand it off to Tony Zoma. 1 yard out, little fullback dive. Nicely done. Queen City's on the board. They're up 7-0. Bryant Dynasty flips it outside. Luke Swift, nice job in coverage. Then breaks a tackle, and Bryant Dynasty cleans it up, saves the touchdown. Nice job, Bryant. So about 30 seconds later, Eric Price now putting in some work. Nope, just kidding. Leo Jefferson with the sack. 2 sacks on this game. Jefferson had a nice night for the Atlanta defense. Price later on in the quarter hits Adrian Ellis, who's had a great start to his season. Gets a 1st down and goal inside 3 minutes to go in the first half. And then it is Jet Zero behind Tony Zoma this time with the score. 14-0 Queen City. It is all Corsairs at this point. Atlanta looks a little lost. And Dag's drone works. Well, that blimp's not lost. What a pretty night in Buffalo. Nice scene. Okay, so Queen City kicks it deep. Henry McGee's back there. And Tyler, this is the game-changing plays you want to see out of rookies. He's worth every penny.
Absolutely. We talked earlier tonight already about plays that turn games on their head, and Henry McGee is that sort of player. We've been waiting for him to make a play like this. We know he could do it. He knew he could do it, and it just took a little extra time and a little extra motivation here. Down by 2 scores, he gets the team back in it, and then all of a sudden, special teams miscues. All of a sudden, Queen City's on the back of their heels just a little bit.
These are the plays that just started to slowly turn this game around. The kick return for a touchdown, the missed field goal, the interception from Chris Henry, and then Jason Williams putting in work. He's been a touchdown machine for Atlanta. They take the lead 17-14 out of nowhere. All of a sudden, the Swarm have a 14-point comeback on their hands on the road in Buffalo against their rivals who they've only ever beaten 3 times. 4th and long, Queen City pulls out the trick play, and the punter goes for a fake. You got to progress past strength, Tyler. Otherwise, you're going to get hit like that. And then the punter gets hurt to add insult to injury, and Queen City ends up losing the game. Ian Deegan is down on the field, and Atlanta wins 17-14. A wild one there. All right, let's go to our final highlight of the week. And that is Carolina and Vancouver from Friday night. This game was all kinds of ugly early for the Skyhawks, Tyler. Marquise Reed with this interception here. Carolina turned the ball over 4 times on their first 4 possessions. It was brutal. They figured out how to turn it around late.
And in quite emphatic fashion. It's now the second game in a row which Vancouver's defense has allowed close to 150 yards. They've allowed over 300 total rushing yards in the past 2 games. Last game was against Canton, here against Carolina. And it just goes to show, when you cannot stop Ike McBride and the rest of this team, it opens up plays like this for Matt South.
A beautiful play-action rollout. Christian Bacciagalupi with the score, 7-6. Carolina takes a 1-point lead after turnovers and penalties and all sorts of stuff going awry for him. They get a 3-and-out, and then a minute later, another touchdown. Bacciagalupi, 14-6. Carolina's up 8, and all of a sudden, Vancouver's in trouble. 3rd down and 3. The Legion desperate to find some answers in the third quarter offensively, and they hand it off to their Hall of Famer, and he is stuffed for nothing. No gain on the play. Another defensive stand. 2:38 to go in this one. Vancouver finally gets it going. Kendra Wells with the touchdown catch. She even gets hurt on the touchdown. Nothing was going right for Vancouver. So 17-12, they'd pick Kendra Wells up with a spatula off the field and get her off so that Vancouver can convert a 2-point conversion, down 5 with 2:35 to go. It would cut it to a field goal game. You could kick it deep. You wouldn't have to worry, play some defense. And nope, that's not going to work. Robert Redford tried to dive, tried to get over the pile, leapfrog over the pile, but couldn't do it. The final play of the game is caught by Brett Killian, but he's 19 yards short, and Carolina wins 20-12. Chris Delro with the $5 super chat. How about that Carolina defense? Great team win. So that's a wrap for week 5. Why? Because we only had 6 games. We have 2 tonight. We're about to break them down here. First, we start with Arizona and Indianapolis. Arizona has won the only meeting. Both teams are off next week, so both want to go into that bye week as happy campers. Arizona's 3rd in the SFL with +3 turnover differential. Indy just cannot get their run game going, last in the league at 2.3 yards per carry. Hunter Norwood, 1 tackle for loss to 250 for his career. He is 2nd all-time. He's already in the Hall of Fame, but it would be a big milestone for him. And hopefully Arizona doesn't get caught sleeping, Tyler, because they have Florida next week. That's a big game, February 25th. Your thoughts on tonight's first of our 2 Monday Night Spectacular matchups?
Well, the big thing for me for Arizona is they can't look into this game, oh, it's a trap game. They have to go out and play just like they have been for the last 3 weeks, beating Los Angeles, Charleston, and Denver in quite unique fashion. They survived Denver, and maybe that's a little bit of the oh, okay, maybe we can get something going here. Maybe Indy can finally get something going against an Arizona team who's now back on the road, and that was a home game in which they had to come back from as well. So now that they're on the road, are they able to maybe take advantage of that? And that really starts with getting the ground game going, as you mentioned, Cam. Can the Pierces, all 3 of them, find a way to spark this offense? Can Ryan Roosevelt get involved? He is the 2nd leading receiver in terms of receptions. They've gotten him involved, but it's just been a very pass-heavy offense. It's something that we like to do in Indianapolis, but to beat an Eddie Gage-led team, you have to diversify your opportunity. You have to diversify your offense in order to take down a Hall of Fame man, coach, leader in Eddie Gage and the Arizona Scorpions.
Arizona is one of those teams, Tyler, where it almost feels like they just, we'll turn it on when we feel like it, right? They had that sluggish first half against Charleston where they only had a 10-9 lead before they turned it on in the second half. In the second half of the Denver game, they turned it on in the 4th quarter, but it took them 3 quarters to get going. They've been a slow starting team. One of these times, Tyler, it's going to bite them. And Indianapolis is no slouch. They played Canton better than any other team so far this season. They only lost by 14. They're wearing their Circle City uniforms tonight, and those looked real nice when they wore them for the first time last season. So looking forward to that game in Indianapolis. Cloudy skies, but overall about 50 degrees. Good night for football. In the late block, it is the Jacksonville Kings and the Mexico City Aztecs, and this game is going to be awesome because you've got the throwback uniforms, the throwback stadium, the Santa Fe Gorillas. You got Matt Wilson all over the place, the Big 12 at midfield. If you've never heard his Hall of Fame speech, we'll be playing that at halftime as well when he got inducted into the inaugural class at the 2018 convention in Dallas. But all those things aside, the last time these two teams played, Tyler, was in the convention in Las Vegas, and that game was a Jeffrey Daggs kick return touchdown in overtime that ended that game 40-34, and they just haven't played since. So it's been a while, but it is the 17th meeting all time between these two legendary teams. Jacksonville can move the football. This is the best team they've had in quite some time. They average over 20 first downs a game. And Mexico City's defense is pretty good, so it's really going to be about, possibly who wins that side of the ball in terms of matchups. But how do you see this whole Tallahassee Pride Santa Fe Gorillas game playing out in the nightcap?
I was going to say, throw out Mexico City, throw out Jacksonville. Let's get Tallahassee and Santa Fe back in here. And no matter what happens tonight, Cam, I'm really looking forward to seeing just the nostalgia of the SFL from eras gone by that I was never a part of, and seeing the history and seeing what it means to so many people in the SFL, the old guard, as I call it. This is what they lived for. This is what they saw for many, many years. And now, as we go in and take a look at the new age of the SFL, this current era, we look at OJ Bruin, who has turned a bit of a corner. He's starting to make more conservative passes. Yes, he still has 5 interceptions and only 2 touchdowns, but that is where the running game has really helped him and helped Jacksonville this year. Both backs combined on average for about 100 yards a game, which has taken a lot of pressure off of OJ Bruin's shoulders. Did an excellent job. And this defense has done a fantastic job as well, just keeping them in ball games. Mexico City, meanwhile, you got to watch out. They're a ball hawking unit, 3rd in the league in pass deflections. They love to get in the middle of passing lanes. And they don't have a slouch of a backfield or a quarterback themselves. Jordan Sipe has done rather well in the season. Yes, he's got hit with a turnover bug with 7 interceptions. And yes, they're on the back of 2 straight losses. But the big thing between this season's Motor City and last season's, each game has been within 1 score. A very, very stark contrast from last season where they were just getting blown out left, right, and center. They're doing well. New head coach Mike Daggs is doing a fantastic job in his inaugural season of coaching, and it shows. This game, just like a bunch of Jacksonville, Tallahassee, Santa Fe, Mexico City games gone by, this one should be a good one.
Mike runs the offense. Ramos runs the defense. And honestly, right now, Mexico City's just trying to get back to where they once were. That's the same MO for Jacksonville. Over the last few seasons, Tyler, this is the type of game that Jacksonville loses. Because just as you start to believe in them, they start to fall apart. If they go into Mexico City on Matt Wilson night and they get this win and they improve to 3-1, we're going to be talking about Jacksonville being back, right? Mexico City has got to win this game. It's their 2nd of 5 straight at home, and they can't lose 2 to start the 5-game homestand. That is not going to get the fans on your side, but they're going to be playing for Matt tonight, and we're expecting a good one there in the nightcap. So we got plenty of football for you. So what? The Super Bowl just happened and it's over now. Who cares? Football all year round here on the Simulation Football League. The doubleheader comes your way next. Arizona and Indianapolis, followed by Jacksonville and Mexico City. Chris Curtis and Anthony Ellison will be on the call for Arizona and Indianapolis, and then myself and Charles Doherty will be on the call for Jacksonville, Mexico City. Chris Curtis and Tyler Falk will be back in studios for that halftime of Jacksonville and Mexico City coming up later tonight. Stay up late with us. Let's have a good night of football, everybody. Thanks for watching SFL This Week, Season 22, Week 5. And we'll see you on the football field here in a few minutes. Stay tuned.